Hi, boys and girls. How are you? So this week we're going to talk a little bit about whales. We've been talking about different sea creatures in the ocean. We read some books, Rainbow Fish and Pout Fish, and we had the book A House for Hermit Crab, and we learned about sea creatures and that story as well. This week we're going to spend some time talking about whales. There are a lot of different kinds of whales that we can learn about. So your parents have gotten this in their email, so they can print this out and make this for you. When it comes, there's actually 2 on the page, so it actually ends up making, I'll show you, 2 books. So you're welcome to share one of these with somebody in your house if you have a brother or sister who might want to learn along with us. And then you staple it together here, and then you have your book of all the different types of whales and interesting facts about whales. So we'll be able to go through this week and color it and learn more about whales, and then you'll be able to keep this. This is a little bit like our book about Alaska. Do you remember when we learned about Alaska? Right, and we have the state flag and the state bird. We talked about animals that you see in Alaska. This is a book like that. So your parents will have it on their email. They just have to print it on the printer for you and then cut it and staple it together. So, all right, so before we get started, I have a special book about whales actually on my iPad. So I can't go to the library right now, but you can find books on your iPad, and so I'm going to show you that book about whales in just a second. But before we do that, I wanted to show you this picture. Now, oops, guess who drew this for me? This was Caleb. I asked Caleb if he'd be able to help me draw a whale so I could show you the different parts of a whale. And so he drew this. This is called an orca whale. This is probably the one that most people are most familiar with when they see it. Excuse me, that black and white body that it has. It's called an orca. So I'm going to show you some of the different body parts that whales have. Before we start that, this particular whale is called a toothed whale. There are 2 different kinds of whales. There are toothed whales and baleen whales. And that has to do with, obviously, the type of teeth they have. So an orca has teeth in it, regular teeth that you would see in another sea creature. And then some whales have baleen, and we'll be seeing a picture of that in just a minute. But that's like a kind of like a fibery, long straw-like looking piece that's inside the whale's mouth. Whoops, in there, and you'll see that. So here's the different parts of the whale, and you can see it here. So I'm going to start at the very top. So this part of the whale, where there's a hole here, that's called a blowhole, and that's how the whale breathes. And a lot of times when a whale comes to the surface, right, and it blows air out of that, what else shoots out of there? Yes, water. And that's a lot of times what we see when we see pictures or videos of whales. They spout that when they come to the surface. It's often how you can spot them, because they'll see that little bit of air and that big spout of water blow off the top. So at the tippy top here, that's a fin on the whale. And then down here, this one is called the flipper, and that helps the whale move through the water. And then the tail is called the fluke, okay? And that moves up and down and helps the whale move quickly through the water. And a lot of times we see that as well when we see whales in the water. So let me show you here. All right, so here's another example of the flipper on this whale. And then here is the blowhole on that one. See that tiny little hole there? Here's a fin. It's not tiny. Whales are very big, so none of the parts of the whale are tiny. So there's a big fin sticking out. Whoops, I'm sorry, sticking out there. There's the fin. There's the fluke, right? You see that part of the tail with the 2 pieces right there. All right, now this is a baby whale. It's actually called a calf. A baby whale is called a calf, just like a baby cow. And here, this word they have here is migrate. And something important to know about whales is when it gets cold in the wintertime, whales, like butterflies, migrate south because they are looking for warmer waters to swim in, right? So they do migrate. So, okay, so that is our whale. I'm going to leave that up there this week. I thought Caleb did a very nice job on that. What do you think? Yeah, kind of fun, huh? So, all right, I'm going to prop this back up over here. Excuse my fingers for just a minute. All right, and I'm going to show you in your book. I'm going to move closer so you can see it. So it says, my book all about whales. Okay, and there you can see there's an orca on the front right here. And this is a blue whale. We're going to talk about those in a minute. Now, like our Alaska books, the first thing you do on this page is you're going to trace the word whales in your best handwriting. Remember how we talked about taking our time and doing these things very, very carefully, slowly and carefully, so that we stay on those lines. We're practicing the K-way, right? Getting ready for kindergarten, okay? So that's going to be our first page. And I'm going to do these pages with you as we go. I'm just going to show you what the first few look like. So here it says, whales are a type of mammal that live in the ocean. So there's our first page, okay? And here, and this is the page I wanted to show you, very much like the diagram I just showed you. So inside your book, you can also see the body parts of the whale. So there's the blowhole, there's the flipper, these are called throat grooves, right? So there's the little grooves in certain types of whales. And then here's a fin, and here's the fluke or the large tail. Now this is a baleen whale. Can you see how there's this like sort of piece inside of here? It kind of reminds me of a broom, right? It's all really thick. If you've ever seen Finding Nemo and Marlin and Dory get stuck inside the whale and they can't get out, that's because of that baleen on the whale's mouth, okay? All right, so let me show you my book on my iPad. So let me pull this up here, and I've got to put my code in. All right, now these will look a little small at first, and then I'll be able to make the pictures bigger as we go. All right, so I'm going to scoot over here so you can see. So I'm going to read it first, and then I'll show you. It says, whales are big animals that live in the oceans. Whales are mammals, not fish. They're even bigger than the dinosaurs. Can you believe that? All right, so there you see a whale. All right, that's a blue whale. And on the back of that whale, there's a calf. The baby whales are called calves. Okay. All right, then I'm going to exit out of that. Now watch. Now I go like this. Oh, there's my next page. I'm going to read it first and then I'll show you. It says, blue whales are known as the largest animals to have ever lived on the earth. They can be 100 feet long and weigh 100 tons. This equals the weight of 23 elephants. Oh my goodness. Their tongues alone weigh as much as one elephant, just their tongue. Oh my goodness. So one blue whale weighs as much as 23 elephants. Wow. Now you can see, look, there's the diver. There's the whale. Aren't they beautiful? And I remember Ben's mom came in and read us a wonderful book about whales. And I remember learning those things about how big and heavy those whales are. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to exit out. Whoops. Okay. It says whales breathe air. They do not have gills like fish. They come up to the top of the ocean to get air. They use the blowhole found on the top of their heads to draw in air. Whales cannot sleep for more than 90 minutes at a time because they need to come up for air. Okay, all right, here's a great example of what Mrs. McAdams was talking about. Okay, so whales can go under the water, but they can't stay under there all the time. They have to come up. So it says they can be under there for about 90 minutes, which is about an hour and a half. Then they have to come up and they have to get air from the surface. So often when they do that, as soon as they come up to the surface, because there's air blowing out of there, if there's any water in that hole, which a lot of times there is, whoosh, it makes that big spray out of the top of the whale. Can you see that? Beautiful, huh? Okay. Oops. All right, now this one is a toothed whale. I'm going to make that bigger in just a minute, and that's an orca. So here we go. Some whales have teeth, others have baleen. Toothed whales feed on small fish such as salmon, tuna, cod, and small mammals like seal or squid. Orca whales are sometimes known as killer whales. They're toothed whales. They are known as the wolves of the sea. They eat fish, dolphins, seals, and even blue whales. So let's make that bigger. You can see. Oh, there. Now you can see perfectly. Okay, do you see the teeth in there? All right, so that makes that a toothed whale. Okay. Now, orca whales are certainly not whales that are mean. That book said sometimes they call them killer whales, but that's not because they harm people or try to hunt people or hurt anybody. It's just because they're able to eat because of those teeth, they're able to eat pretty much any kind of creature that's in the sea or in the ocean. So they will eat seals, dolphins, large fish and squid and different animals like that. Okay. Gonna take me a minute. There we go. All right, here's the other kind, the baleen whales. So it says baleen whales have a row of plates on their upper jaws. The baleen looks like the teeth of a comb. Baleen whales feed on plankton, which is a sea plant, and krill, a small shrimp-like creature. Baleen whales are much larger than toothed whales. They have 2 blowholes instead of 1. Oops. Well, boys and girls, Mrs. McAdams just learned something new today because I did not know that. I did not know that baleen whales have 2 blowholes instead of 1. And baleen whales, as the book said, are much bigger than the toothed whales. See the baleen in there? Isn't that fun? Yeah, it looks like a comb, I said, or a little bit like a broom. Huh? Neat. Okay, here we go. Next page. Whales are noisy animals. They are the loudest animals in the world. They sigh, moan, groan, and speak to each other. These sounds travel very far across the ocean. There they are. Yes, they make lots of sounds, sort of sometimes like little crying sounds and clicking sounds, and yep. Funny how they're the loudest animals. You'd only hear them, though, I think, if you were under the water, wouldn't you? Mrs. McAdams got to see some whales, about 6 weeks ago when I had to be away from school for a few days. I went to a place where I got to see whales, and they were beautiful and really, really big. Okay, here we go. Whales live in large groups called herds or pods. Mother whales are called cows. Father whales are called bulls. Baby whales are called calves. A whale calf grows inside its mother before it's born. And there you can see the orcas. There they are. Beautiful, aren't they? Okay. Here's an interesting whale. I'll tell you the name of this one in a second. Whale calves drink their mother's milk. The milk is full of fat and as thick as toothpaste. The mother puts the milk right into the calf's mouth. Now this is in your book, this type of whale. Beautiful. Do you remember what this whale is called? We talked about this when we learned about Alaska because these whales live only where it's cold in the northern oceans. This is called a beluga whale. Yes, and it's the only one that's all white. And you recognize it because it has that funny little hump on its head. You see that? So neat. Okay, let's see what we have next. Whales are playful animals. They can swim very fast and they love to leap through the water into the air. This is called breaching. Whoops. Mrs. McAdams got to see some of this happening. Not quite like that, like all the way out of the water, but I did get to see some that jumped out a little bit and brought their tails up really high. Wow, look at that. That's a huge animal being able to breach. They call that breaching when they jump out of the water like that. Imagine the splash that whale makes when it hits the water. Okay. Blue whales are the largest animals in the world. They get their name from their bluish-gray skin color. Blue whales eat mostly krill. During the feeding season, one blue whale captures about 40 million krill a day. Baby blue whales drink about 50 gallons of their mother's milk. Blue whales off the coast of Sri Lanka are known to make songs of 4 notes. These songs last about 2 minutes each. Wow, very smart creatures, aren't they? Look how big that whale is. My goodness, can you imagine if you saw that in the water? Bigger than the dinosaurs. Okay. Oh, there's our beluga. Here it is. Beluga whales are dark gray when they are born. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Their color fades over time, and then they're snow white when they're adults. Beluga whales look gentle, but do not let their smiles fool you. These toothed whales are carnivores, which means they like to eat other animals, so they will eat any sea creature that is smaller than them. So like the orca, it's a toothed whale. Right, there we go. So it will eat other sea creatures, anything that's smaller than that. So it might eat a seal, it might eat a squid, right? It might eat a large fish of some kind. Yep, carnivore means it likes to eat meat. Okay, let's see what's next. Ooh, fin whales. So fin whales are the second largest animal after the blue whale. They grow to nearly 88 feet. They have slender bodies, and they are called the greyhounds of the sea because they're slim build and high speed when they hunt. Fin whales can get 20 pounds of krill in a single gulp. They gulp as often as every 30 seconds. See the little fin on top? But longer and thinner than the other whales, don't they? Okay. Oh, these are gray whales. Gray whales are medium sized and grow as large as 45 feet long. They are gray with white patches of parasites, which are like barnacles. They feed differently from other whales. These whales stir up shallow coastal areas and suck up things from the bottom. They have one of the longest migrations. They live in the Arctic during the summer and travel to California if it gets cold. That is a very far journey. Okay, so here you can see at the bottom, there's these pictures of a breaching whale, right? So it starts to come up and up and up and up and then splash when it comes down. There it is, breaching. Isn't that neat? Makes a big splash when they do that. Okay. Oh, this one's fun. This is in our book. Narwhals or narwhales are medium-sized toothed whales. Narwhals males have a long, straight tusk that extends from their upper left jaw. This is actually an overgrown tooth. It grows out of the hole in the upper lip. No one knows why they have a tusk. It does not seem to have any purpose. Look at this. This is so interesting. Oh, hold on. Let me get this bigger. Oh, there we go. See that nose? It's like a long, sharp, it's a tooth, which is funny, isn't it? Looks like they have a long, almost like a swordfish, sword on their nose. Narwhals. Aren't they funny looking? But fun. All right, let's see what we have next. Oh, and here's our orcas. So it says orcas are known to be the fastest marine mammal. They can swim about 30 miles an hour, and they can go up to 75 miles a day. The orca whale families are called pods. These whales are very protective of their calves. Young female whales in the pod help the mothers to care for the newborns. And here you can see, right, a whole bunch of them traveling together. They call that a pod of whales. Okay, I think that was my last one. Awesome, so there's a little bit about whales, boys and girls. So tomorrow I'll jump back on and we'll talk a little bit about your book. We'll start working on that first page where we'll trace whales, the words, and then we'll start coloring in a little bit of this, and then we'll start reading ahead to find out a little bit more about whales and how they grow and the different kinds of whales, some of what we already read in this book. So we'll see how much of that you remember from what I just read. So enjoy that, boys and girls. Have a good day. Keep an eye out. There'll be a Charlotte's Web next chapter on our read aloud today. So have a great day, everybody, and I will talk to you about whales again tomorrow. Bye.